Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and today guys we are jumping right in with the monthly wrap-up for August. Before we get into that, please do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. You can check the description box down below for links to all of my social media, including information about my Patreon, where I am currently giving away a set of the Broken Binding Raymond E. Feist Rift War. Today is probably your last day to check that out, as I will be drawing that here soon. So if you want to check it out, link in the description box down below. With all of that out of the way, guys, I don't think I've ever had a reading month go so sideways on me before. It has been an awful month for structured reading. I had to basically take my TBR takeover and set it to the side, and I really wanted to read a lot of those books. It was not going to happen. Just alone in the month of August, I've had an upper respiratory infection, a sinus infection, a hernia. We put my cat down, and I had my grandfather visiting for a week. He's 92, and I wanted to make sure I spent some quality time with him. So with everything that went on, I still got a fair bit read, but man, like, it was mood reading all the way from start to finish. Like, it was just nothing but like, is this catching my attention? If not, I have to set it to the side. So I want to give a huge apology to my buddy Nico from Nico's Book Reviews. I really appreciate him taking time to pick out books for me. It just all went sideways on me. And I'm currently still in the middle of 3 books. Like, I haven't, of the books that I finished, 3 of them are still in progress, so they're not finished. We'll talk about those later. But essentially, this is what I managed to finish in the month of August. This is it. I read, I think, half of An Alchemy of Mass and Mirrors by Curtis Craddock, and then I DNF'd it. I just wasn't particularly in love with that story. Wasn't bad, just not my thing. So this is what I ended up reading. We're going to start off with this book, the Patron Book Club book. This is Glorious Exploits by Ferdia Lennon. I also did the audiobook, which is narrated by the author themselves. And let me tell you what, this was an interesting read. Not typically my thing, but I still really enjoyed it. It's a tragedy about tragedies, and I thought that was really clever. We've got Gallon and Lampo, and basically these potters are putting on a play after the Peloponnesian War. They've got the Athens prisoners, and they've decided to take these Athens prisoners who are just stuck in this quarry and they're being starved to death, and they decide to do a Euripides play. And there's other stuff that's going on as well, and it's just a really tragic story. Lampo's not my favorite main POV that I've ever read. I really didn't get on with Lampo, but the story itself, and the further that I've gotten away from it, the more I have enjoyed the themes around the story and what it's actually doing. Really good book. If you're into some historical fiction and you want something a little unconventional, definitely check this one out. So yeah, my rating for this one, I think I gave it a 3 right after finishing it, and then I upgraded that to a 4 out of 5. Really, really solid book. So I'm very happy to have read this. So that's that one. Then I came back, and I only read half of this book this particular month. This is Black Wind by F. Paul Wilson. I've been needing to read more F. Paul Wilson, and I was 50% into this. It was just sitting on the shelf and waiting for the mood to strike, and I finally finished this book. I read about half of this book. It's not super long, but essentially this is an alternate historical fiction type of deal with some horror elements. We've got 2 childhood boys. We've got Matsuo and we've got Frank. And basically, Matsuo is Japanese, Frank's American. This is set during the time of World War II and the events around Pearl Harbor and the end of the war and Japan's involvement with the bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. There's also a evil kind of, I don't want to say evil. There's a black monk sect that is trying to, well, yeah, they are kind of evil, to influence events around Japan and pull these 2 nations into war. And overall, they're looking for this dark old power called the Black Wind. Thus, where the book gets its name from. This was really good, and it's an underrated gem. It's a tragic story where we've got these 2 young men who are growing up. They have a falling out. Their friendship crumbles, but they keep bumping into into each other throughout their lives. They both fall in love with the same woman, and just the tragedy that has evolved around everything. It's about reconciliation, and there's pain and everything that goes into this. I mean, it is a really good story, but man, there is a lot packed into this book, and I highly recommend that you check it out, because this one was a gem. I really want to thank John from Talking Story for putting this one on my radar. So there's that one. Then I mentioned I had my grandparents in town, and we were watching a lot of Agatha Christie adaptations, which I mentioned in my weekly wrap-up. And I was showing off to my grandfather's wife a lot of the omnibuses that I had for Agatha Christie. And then I just opened this one, which is the Miss Marple books, and I started reading Body in the Library. And overall, I liked this. This is 5 books. This is The Mirror Cracked, Caribbean Mystery, Nemesis, What Mrs. McGillicuddy Saw, and The Body in the Library. And let me tell you what, The Body in the Library, it was a good mystery. My main problem came with Miss Marple as a sleuth. She just seemed to have the answers with no real training or anything like that. And the explanation that we're given is that she's just observant. And she studied the people in her tiny village, and from there she's been able to extract human psychology, and she can reverse engineer motives and stuff like that. And she can put people into like little typecasts, and halfway through the book she's like, I know who the killer is. And I guess you could have solved the mystery if you were really paying attention. But like the details that give it away are very minute. And it's just, yeah, I've got the answers. And I just didn't believe, at least in this particular entry, that Miss Marple was in fact a sleuth. It felt like the author was just giving her the answers. It didn't feel earned. And so I'm hoping to give more Miss Marple a try. I did pick up a short story collection of Miss Marple short stories, so I am, of course, intending to continue with the Marple stories. I don't know, in this just particular Body in the Library, it just didn't quite, I didn't believe it. Although I did like the overall mystery. Basically, this couple wakes up with a body in their library, and they have no idea how this young lady has ended up in the library. And so the wife calls Miss Marple and was just like, hey, you're my friend, and you're good at this kind of stuff. Come comfort me, and we're going to make a day out of investigating this murder. And she's just like, dang it, it's not every day you find a body in your library. I'm going to get the most out of this. And so it's just something interesting that's going on there. But it was a decent story. Not my favorite thing ever. But so far, I prefer Poirot to Marple, but hopefully that can change. Or maybe I'll just fall in love with Marple as much as I enjoy Poirot. Who knows? Time will tell. But I ended up just randomly starting an Agatha Christie because we were watching Agatha Christie. So that happened. And then I bought a special edition book, which I will show off more in a book haul of Stephen King's Desperation. And because I was getting that book in, I hadn't read Desperation. And so I decided to read it. And now I seem to be on a bit of a Stephen King kick. I can't seem to stop reading Stephen King books, which is fine. That's a good problem to have. Especially with him probably being my favorite author at this point. And I read Desperation. And essentially we've got a small town deputy who is pulling off people on I think it's like Highway 50. Route 50 in Nevada? ? It's in the desert somewhere. I don't know. It's the small town of Desperation is kind of like near where he's pulling people over, and he's using all of these just kind of sham reasons, planting drugs and saying there's people shooting, and there's not something right with this deputy. Something's off, and his name is Collian Trajan, and basically he takes people and he starts killing people. And there's this like supernatural entity called Tack. And we've got this writer, and we've got this young boy, and it's the battle of good and evil, and the battle of gods, and belief and faith, and the cruelty of life, and a struggle for survival. And this is one of King's more brutal horror stories. I really enjoyed this one. A bit overlong. There was some stuff we didn't really need to get into. We kept doing flashback stories about what's happened in Desperation from different points of view and stuff like that. Still, I really enjoyed this one. I would probably give this one a 4 out of 5. Really enjoyed Desperation from Stephen King. And I'm glad that I have now read this one, because I don't know if it's a top 10 Stephen King, but it's definitely a top half King for me. Like, Desperation was a surprising story. I've heard Regulators is even better, but it uses a lot of the same character names, so I need to put some distance between reading the two books. And so it's going to be a minute before I read The Regulators, so hopefully kind of just forget some finer details, I think is what I'm trying to say, because basically it's supposed to be similar stories on different paths of the beam, alternate reality type deal. So yeah, but I really enjoyed this. It was delightful. It was intense. It was a more profanity laden King book, which if you read a lot of King, you'll find that he just does that. But it just worked for me, and maybe I'm just in a really horror mood for Stephen King. So yes, Desperation was forced into my TBR, and I'm not sorry. I really, really enjoyed that. The Pilot by Will White. This is The Last Horizon, book number 4. I can't talk too much about this. Basically, we've still got the crew of The Last Horizon. I will say, I found this one kind of disappointing, and it ends on a cliffhanger, and I didn't particularly love that. I was glad we got to explore some of Omega's backstory, but it just feels like with the expansion of scope in this series, it's getting more and more bombastic, and we're already at, like, interstellar levels of bombacity. And it's starting to feel ridiculous. I don't know, maybe. And it's not something that's supposed to be taken super serious, but I don't know. It's still fun. I'm still enjoying the writing. I'm still liking the characters, but I don't know where we go from here. Like, my suspension of disbelief and the level of galactic threat at this point is so high, and it's so ridiculous. And our characters are already basically godlike beings. I don't know if this one is going to be a favorite Will White for me. In fact, I can guarantee you it's not. I enjoy the series. It's a good palate cleanser, but it's not something I can take seriously anymore. And that's kind of my thoughts on this series, where we currently are at this point. Because book 3 was ridiculous, and then book 4 is even more ridiculous. And I don't know. The twist in this story, I didn't like. I didn't like it. I didn't find that particularly enjoyable. And if anything, I just groaned and kind of rolled my eyes at the twist. It was cool and it was terrifying, but I was just like, okay, like, what do you do about that? There's nothing you can do. And so those are my thoughts here on The Pilot. I'm trying to be vague. It's book 4 in a series. I don't want to talk about the threat. I don't want to talk about anything like that, but it's just, I don't know what to do with this series anymore, so we'll see if book 5's any better, but I have a feeling that, like, this is going to be one that I think I just prefer Cradle, honestly. So, yeah, there's that. Now, the 3 books that I am still currently reading, and I'm not going to be able to finish these before the end of the month. At the time of recording, it's currently the 28th. There's no way I can read that amount of pages. I just don't have enough available time. We've got The Hunter by K AAGARD, and I am decently into this. I am 60% into this book. And this book is phenomenal. If I had finished this book during the month of August, this would probably be tied for my book of the month. As it stands right now, I think either Blackwind or Desperation is my book of the month, because those are the ones that I've finished. But, man, in terms of sheer enjoyment, this is tied for book of the month. It is incredibly good. Addie, Strider, and Greer. Addie is this kidnapped princess. She escapes from her kidnappers, and she stumbles into this ranger style of character by the name of Strider, who is this old, grizzled individual who has just exacted his revenge and killed his long enemy. He's antisocial. He doesn't do people very well. He's gruff. He's very quick to kill. He is a very gray moral character. He will kill everybody to leave no witnesses, but he will help a girl because she paid him to, and because his wolf, Greer, asked him to. Greer is the animal companion, And Greer is amazing. Greer is kind of the light side to Strider's dark side and pulls him from dark to gray. And I just love Greer. He's so warm and lovable and cute, and he communicates with his eyes and his ears and head tilts and snuggles and tail thumps. Everything about Greer is amazing, and the dynamic that we get between Addie, Strider, and Greer is phenomenal. I will leave a link to the Amazon and the author's website in the description box down below. Please do yourself a favor and check this book out. It is amazing. It is phenomenal. It is readable. Short, digestible chapters, descriptive writing. I just love this story in this book so incredibly much. It's wonderful. And then the perfect sequel, Witchwood Crown. I am currently 50% into this book. I should have been more into this. I picked up Desperation, and it delayed me finishing this. This is the only book that I was able to make my mood consume of the books that Nico recommended. And it's phenomenal. Picking up with Simon and Miriamel and their grandchildren and the state of Ostenard and what's going on with the Hayholt and Bennebic and everything that is happening in this book is phenomenal. There's been maybe a chapter at the beginning of part 2 where we introduce a new group of characters where I was just like, that might be a bit much. And we're kind of reintroduced to the Thrivings characters, and I was just like, we're just going to chuck that in there. That's fine. We're dealing with the Norns. The Norns are kind of rearing their ugly heads again after 30 years. The Norns are kind of a dark elf style of character. I am loving this book. It's so good to be back in this world, especially because I think I last read Memory Star and Thorn 2 or 3 years ago. It's been a while. And I just love it. It's so good. It's really enjoyable. This would be tied for also Book of the Month. It's just so incredibly readable, and it's perfect, and I love it so much. Ted Williams is a favorite author of mine. So good. So good. If you love Memory Star and Thorn, and you haven't continued the series with the sequel, the follow-up, Last King of Ostenard, please do yourself a favor and check it out. Very, very, very good. And then I told you I was on a Stephen King kick. I just decided to thrust in Dr. Sleep into my reading plans. I'm doing about a chapter a day. I'm probably only going to be about a quarter of the way through. Like you can see, I'm only 16% through right now. But I'm doing a chapter a day, so I'll probably be on like chapter 3 or 4 by the end of the month. And I'm just going to continue reading this into September. Probably going to substitute The Institute for Dr. Sleep. Or I might just read them both. I don't know. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying this, which is surprising because the last time I tried this, I bounced off of it really, really hard. And then all of a sudden something clicked and was just like, oh, you could try Dr. Sleep again. And now it's just working for me. So I am reading this. But that's how my month is going. Let me know in the comments down below how your reading month went. How did you close out summer? What was your book of the month? Have you been having great reads? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying healthy. And that's all I really got for today, guys. Till next time, peace out and stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby. It means the world to me.